Okay, so in my job as the executive director for a nonprofit, we spend a lot of time trying to not only help people, but we have to raise money in order to be able to help people. And we spend a lot of time with special event planning and mailings and all kinds of sponsorships, and nothing is more successful in terms of raising funds to support our mission for any nonprofit than the relationships we have with just individual families. Most people think that a lot of charitable giving comes from corporations. It doesn't. It's only about 5% of all giving nationwide. About 85% of all charitable giving just comes from individuals and families. So my friend John and I, who serves on our board here, have talked a lot about the best way for people who have the means through certain types of financial opportunities, certain types of mechanisms that they could give, and I struggle to communicate that to people. So I figured we'd give it a shot to try to communicate it on camera to other people.
Great.
So so tell me, and the folks who might watch this, if I'm over 70 and a half years old, what are my options for giving? What's special and unique other than just stroking a check to your favorite charity?
Great. So thank you for having me today, Eric.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it depends on really what type of account that you happen to have. So in my world as a wealth management advisor, there's really two main different types of accounts. You have an IRA, and you have, which is all pre-tax, and you have a taxable account, such as a brokerage account or a trust. If you have an IRA and you are over 70 and a half, you are required to do a required minimum distribution. You can give to your favorite charity up to $100,000 a year directly out of the IRA to not only satisfy your required minimum distribution, but also give to your favorite nonprofit. Providing the check is made out directly to the nonprofit, there are no tax consequences, which means traditionally when you take money out of your IRA, you have to pay taxes on that. But if it goes to your favorite nonprofit, you pay no taxes on that, and you satisfy the annual required minimum distribution. So that's the first way. The second way, if you don't have an IRA or you're not over 70 and a half, you can actually give positions from your trust or brokerage account directly to the nonprofit, which is via an in-kind transfer. So it's just taking account positions of your favorite stock or mutual fund from your brokerage or trust and moving it into the nonprofit's brokerage and trust. And your financial institution and favorite nonprofit can help you with all of that.
So, okay, if I'm over 70 and 1/2 years of age,
Correct.
and I have an IRA, I am required at some level to make some distributions out of that IRA once I turn 70 and a half. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that only if I have a certain amount in my IRA, or is it any amount that I have in my IRA?
Any amount that's in your IRA. Because what's happened is year after year after year, your IRA has hopefully been growing without paying any taxes on it.
Right.
At 70 and a half, the IRS has said, okay, that is the magical age that you have to start taking money out. And traditionally, when you start taking money out, you have to pay taxes on it, unless it goes to your favorite charity.
So if you don't need to take money out at that time, and you definitely don't want to pay taxes on it anyway, your option is to give it to a charitable organization. But it doesn't have to be $100,000. It could be any amount, right?
That's correct. It's
So-
up to $100,000.
So if I can make a $100 contribution out of my IRA if I'm over 70 and a half years of age, rather than pay taxes on it, but I can only do it up to $100,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
But it needs to be made out directly to the charity.
And that's what we call a qualified charitable distribution. Right?
That's correct.
The QCD. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, but if, say I don't have an IRA, and I'm not over age 70 and a half, other than writing a check, you said you can give an in-kind gift of securities. What would that look like? Why would somebody do that?
So that's another great question. So let's say that you are wanting to give $500, $1,000, whatever amount that you're wanting to do, and you have a security that traditionally, if you don't have that amount of money in your checking or savings account to write that check, you would have to sell the security, pay taxes on the gain of the security, and then write the check. But it's not as tax efficient for you because you're going to have to pay taxes on it. You would get credit on it on your tax return as part of your itemized deductions, but it would not be nearly as tax advantage to the individual as just actually taking the positions from your account and moving them into the.
Why would, what would motivate somebody to say, I'm going to give a gift of securities this year? What's a normal type of sequence of events?
So that's a great question. So since the Great Recession, the official bottom was March of 2009. The market is up well over 200%. So there are many individuals that in order to give to their local or favorite charity or are in need of some type of cash flow, they have to sell a position at a large gain and pay taxes on that. So in this environment, when the equity markets or the stock markets have appreciated, this is an excellent planning tool to actually just give securities that have appreciated without having to pay the taxes on it. And you still get credit for it on your tax return.
And do I have to use a professional to do this? Is that what most people do, or can people do this on their own? How does that work?
So anybody who has an investment account, it is held at primarily a large institution, whether it's a Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade or whatever the case may be. There are specific account numbers that the nonprofit would have that you would need to give to your financial institution.
Right.
And whether you have a advisory firm such as myself or any other one, or if you deal directly with the institution, either one of those situations you can pretty much get the help that you need in order to fill out the appropriate paperwork.
So all you really need is to get the proper number from the charity you want to give to, like the one that we have.
Exactly.
So because we give them that number, they can process the contribution right away.
Exactly. It's just a specific account number at wherever the financial institution happens to hold the nonprofit account.
And then what dates are important generally? I mean, most people to get any types of tax benefit for their contribution have to make sure that it's postmarked by December 31st. How does that apply for a qualified charitable distribution or a gift of securities? Does the same rules apply, or?
Traditionally, it actually needs to be received by the end of the year.
Okay.
So it needs to be received by December 31st to ensure that you get credit in that year.
So you can't wait till the absolute last minute.
Correct.
But you can be something that a lot of people do in the last few days of the year.
The qualified charitable distributions, absolutely. The gifting of appreciated securities, that can take some time. So it's always something that if you know that you're going to be giving to your favorite nonprofit or place of worship, it is really good to be thinking about that at the beginning of the year and then throughout the year as we move forward, so that you ensure that enough time has been taken into account to ensure that all your ducks are in a row.
All right. Well, you notice that we've not said anything about what charity that we're part of, but I will tell you that our organization is called United Against Poverty, and we're doing this in part because we know that our local supporters might take advantage of this, but all of this information applies to anyone, anywhere in the United States with any type of charitable program that you're part of. John's the treasurer of our board and a financial advisor. I'm just a staff member for a nonprofit organization, but all this information is readily available to anybody, and we hope you'll take advantage of it. So thanks, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.